In this video, I'm going to cover how you can take your brand new product launches from sporadic and unplanned over to a streamlined and efficient process, so ultimately you can make a lot more money on your brand new products. My name is Josh, and for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been hands-on with the e-commerce brands managing their email marketing. So everything I talk about, I've done for a brand at one point or another. But yeah, that's enough of an intro. Let's get straight into the document. So how top e-commerce brands actually launch products. What I'm going to be covering in this video is what most brands get wrong, what to do instead, a full copy and paste product launch example for a brand which I'm going to talk about in a moment, 7 email designs with the Notion planner for that copy and paste strategy. And then finally, I'm going to go over what 8 to 9 figure brands do. So this will be a sort of case study going over their 15 email launch strategy, which is a bit more advanced. And that will just be in the form of a case study at the end of the video. So where do most brands actually go wrong? 90% of brands don't put anywhere near enough thought into how they're going to let people know about their new products when that time comes, which to be fair is completely understandable. After a few months of work and getting the product itself right and focusing on the product, the strategy surrounding the launch and things like that can be rushed and put to the side from a marketing perspective. Even for the brands that do spend a lot of time on the marketing side of things, are most likely more focused on ads, social, UGC, things like that, more overarching sort of launch strategy rather than focusing on the emails. With email being your cheapest and warmest marketing channel, or one of your warmest marketing channels, it seems silly to leave it as an afterthought. So in this video, I'm going to go over how you can obviously plan all of that way beforehand, so this doesn't become an afterthought and you can sort of forget about it in the lead up, but you know you've got it covered. So this is what the strategy looks for most brands. You realize your product drop is in a few days or a few weeks and you have no email strategy. You send a quick teaser to your full list to try salvage the launch and get people aware of it before it. You prep a basic email for the day of the release to send. Meaning in the end, you've got no hype, no anticipation, no targeted messaging, no follow-up, and no resends for your email launch strategy. The bottom line is your cheapest and warmest audience group amounted to a very small portion of your overall sales from your new launch. As you can see, this is what most launches look like. So if I go ahead and show you this example, as you can see, we've got 2 emails here, like I said, a teaser with a timer on it, which was put together 12 hours before, and then the sort of launch email here. As you can see, this is not planned at all. This is what it would look like if you were to plan it out, literally just your 2 emails getting sent with any other campaigns either side. So just before I get any further with this video, this is the brand that I'm going to be sort of doing my case study on in this video. So I've made some custom emails for them because a few days ago or a few weeks ago, they actually did a product launch of themselves. I noticed this in my inbox and I decided to go ahead and sort of create this video going over the strategy and how I personally would do things different. I was just sat thinking about how I would do it differently when I saw the emails, and I thought this would make a good YouTube video. So this is the brand. They're called Magic. They make these nice like protein cookie dough dessert things. They look really cool. If you want to check them out, obviously go ahead and do so. Go ahead, check out their Instagram, everything like that. But yeah, this is the brand that I'm going to be talking about and going over the sort of design with. So that covers what most brands get wrong. This is the fix that I proposed, that I thought about for this brand, and obviously I think will work for most other brands. So the key changes. So something to remember moving forward is that not everyone opens every email, meaning we need to send multiple hype building emails and multiple emails about the launch itself after the fact of the launch. So instead of 1 teaser and 1 release email, we want to go ahead with at least 3 teasers and 3 drop emails with some sales emails after the fact if you are interested in that. We also want to add in some resends there too. Instead of a basic teaser, we can add in a waitlist feature so people can sign up for a waitlist. Plus we can mention it in our existing marketing campaigns that we have scheduled around the time of the launch. Instead of ghosting people after launch, so instead of just sending 1 email and then forgetting about it, we want to follow up, hit reminders, hit with different angles, and obviously the resends that I just mentioned. So as you can see, this is sort of the way that it looks. The first launch, which I went over a moment ago with their 2 emails, starting off at the top, and then my proposed launch with a lot more emails and a few resends here, as you can see. So they're sort of the key changes, the main things that we're going to go ahead and change with this strategy. But how do you actually do it? What are the steps that you need to take to get this strategy actually implemented, right? So stage 1 is obviously going to be creating some sort of plan. So as mentioned before, most people fail way before the launch of their new products. By creating a simple plan weeks beforehand, you can free up the mental bandwidth and focus more on important things while the emails get written and designed in the coming days and weeks leading up to the launch. I'm sure you've all experienced this sort of when you've got a big project coming up, or you've got a series of emails, for example, or a series of social posts going out, and it's all a bit sporadic, it's all top of mind. You're constantly thinking about it throughout your day where you're trying to get on with other tasks, but as soon as you sit down to plan it out and get it all on paper, the stress sort of leaves your mind and you can just forget about it, put it in a drawer in your mind, and then come back to it as and when you need to create the emails. If you are going to be creating the emails, or if you have a team to do this for you, even better, you can plan it out, and give them the prompts, the creative, everything they need, and then you can literally forget about it until the launch. So that's sort of the thought process behind getting a plan, just to make sure that everything is set up properly way beforehand so you can focus on the more important stuff, right? This doesn't need to be a crazy plan. You can just use Google Doc if you like. But basically, we want to plan out each email, what the email will consist of, who's going to receive it, and when they're going to receive it. So it'll look something like this. As you can see, this is just like a basic Notion planner. So I put this together for the launch that I remade for Magic Protein. As you can see, pretty basic stuff. In all these emails, in all these segments, we do actually have a brief of all the emails. You can sort of see with this one, but basically we're just going to be talking about all the emails. As you can see as well, I've sort of scheduled in some promotions. So this would just be depending on what their general email strategy is. So this would just be their generic campaigns that they were going to send anyway. The reason they're on here is because we're going to want to mention this launch in those emails as well. So every launch is going to look different for every brand, obviously, but some main things to remember going forward. So like I mentioned earlier, do you want to set up a waitlist, or do you just want to tease the launch through a few emails? So either you can set up a waitlist feature, which basically a really simple way we're going to do that is just by having an email that people can click to join the waitlist. The waitlist will just take them over to your website. The best way to do this is by creating a custom site inside Shopify. So when they click this email, it can confirm that they've joined the waitlist. So just a basic Shopify page on your store saying you've entered the waitlist. Maybe on that page as well, you can add some more teasers and some reviews and stuff like that. From that point, we're obviously going to add them to a segment to know that they're on the waitlist. These are going to be high priority emails that we're going to want to make sure are included in all of our emails moving forward. So you can either go that way with a waitlist, or you can just tease your product through your emails to your general list. So basically you want a minimum of 3 teaser emails, be it just normal teasers from your emails, like I just said, or some sort of waitlist feature that you set up in advance. Another good thing to mention about this waitlist feature is that you can promote it obviously across channels, so you can do it in your Instagram posts and things like that, and just get a really good group of people that you know are excited for the product launch. As well, something that I didn't include in this strategy but will be well worth it is if you do decide to go down this route with the waitlist, you can obviously create some custom campaigns just for those people, just to further build hype and get them more brought in to the sort of product launch. So another thing you want to do, like I just mentioned as well, is mentioning your upcoming launch in any generic marketing campaign. So like I just said, these 3 sort of promotional emails I've got here, that's what that's meant to signify. You're going to send an email on launch day and the day after. One of these emails should be text-based. So obviously you've got your day of your launch, and then the next day you want to send another email as well. So one of these 2 emails I suggest should be a text-based email. I suggest the second email because the first email we want to focus on the product itself and show people what the launch is actually about. And then the next day you can send a sort of follow-up email from the founder or from the team with a personal touch. You want to resend these 2 emails with different subject lines to people who didn't open the originals. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a segment of people who didn't open the original email, so we can resend them with a different subject line, but I'm going to go over how to do all that in a moment. And then also you want to send at least 2 more emails after the launch email to remind and notify people who didn't open anything, or just to remind people who did. So these are just going to be general campaigns afterwards. As you can see, we've got our launch day was the 25th with this example, and then we've got 2 resends after, and then we've got 3 more reminder emails where we're also adding in a sale there too. So they're sort of the general principles that you want to carry forward and sort of mold into your strategy as well. So now you should have your plan all sorted. What emails do you actually need to include, right? So there's a lot of different angles you can take in terms of design and stuff like that. But every brand, like I said, will have a different approach and different angle for their launch. So make sure these emails are in line with your overall angle for your product launch. Obviously, this goes without saying, but if you've got a big initiative over on Instagram, make sure your emails fit the same tone and obviously the same aesthetic and things like that of your initiative over there. Same with ads, anything like that. If you have any other initiatives for this launch, if you've redesigned your website in any way, if the product looks different in terms of like a branding perspective, make sure that you include all of that into your email launch too. So in terms of actual email ideas, things that you can create emails about. So you've got your teaser emails, like I said, this is where you don't fully reveal your product. So you add some sort of layer blur or something like that over the product and create some cool designs there. You've got the reveal email, which won't be the launch email. It'll be a teaser email, but this is where you're actually showing the product, how it was made. So I'm going to go over that. I've added one of these in this example, sort of going over the process of how the product is made, or you can do the same if you've got a big launch initiative. You can go over the steps that made the launch possible. Features, benefits, and unique selling propositions. So this is pretty basic email, just basically going over what the product is, why it's different, why people should buy it. Pre-launch reviews and feedback. So if you have any sort of like for example, if you're launching a consumable product like this, some sort of protein, for example, and you've had people taste it and test it beforehand, use their feedback in your emails, or If not, get your mum to try it or something like that. Get your friends to try it. Take their feedback, take their opinions, and create an email about it. Talk about what people are saying before it's launched. Obviously, any urgency emails, any sort of limited offers that you've got for this particular product, you want to go ahead and make emails about that too. And then also, like I mentioned a moment ago, text-based messages from the founder and from the team with a really personal touch that encapsulates your brand, right? Moving over to some design tips, I've already mentioned some of these, but we want to make the product and the images the focal point. So as you can see in all these emails below, the ones that I designed and ones that I've received from the brand themselves, we want to make sure that the product itself is the main point of the emails. Let the product do the selling, right? This moves into this this section, where we're talking about minimal copy. We don't want to overwhelm people with big blocks of text explaining every single ingredient or every single process, everything about the product. Just let the images do the talking for you. You don't need a lot of copy here. Infographics that easily portray features and benefits. So again, staying on that theme of minimal copy, create nice looking infographics and stuff rather than just big blocks of text going over what it does. Another great thing to do is create like pattern interrupt emails. So I did briefly mention this earlier, but if your launch initiative has some sort of different aesthetic to your general branding, say for example, this brand, these emails look slightly different to their general emails because they've added in some purple and stuff. If you can make your emails look completely different to the rest of your emails or the rest of your marketing material, this really helps with the launch. As well as we move further away from the launch, if you're sending an email 2 weeks after the launch and it looks completely different to the rest of your emails, people can instantly see that, okay, this reminder is about the product they launched a few weeks ago, right? So it just creates a nice disconnect between your normal campaigns, your normal style that people are used to seeing, and then this new style with different branding, different colors, anything like that, even if it's just a different font, right? Just something that sets it apart from everything else. And then once the launch is over, you can just go back to your old sort of branding and stuff like that. Finally, we want to make sure we're adding plenty of buttons with different call to actions. So you'll see this more clearly in a moment inside Figma. But yeah, we want to make sure that we've got plenty of buttons, plenty of ways for people to actually shop the product that we've just launched, right? So as you can see, I've got the emails that I've made here. I'm just going to go over some stuff for the design, like I mentioned. So as you can see here, we're not going too crazy with the copy. So this will be the first teaser. This is just going over sort of revealing the product. So for this launch, I didn't do any sort of like pre-teaser where we're not showing the product because they already posted it on their Instagram and stuff like that. They already teased it over there. So I just went ahead and showed the product straight away, added a nice graphic there. And then as you can see, I just took these screenshots from Instagram reel that they posted going over how the product was made. And I created this cool little board showing how it's actually created. And then finally, we're prompting to join the waitlist. So that's the first email. As you can see, it's being sent to our 90-day engaged segment and our recent buyers. I'm going to talk in a moment in depth about all the segments and who you want to actually send these emails to, because it's all good and well creating this big strategy with these nice emails. And then if you blast them to your full list with no real strategy, that's going to go tits up. So email number 2, we're focusing more on building urgency. So this is 4 days before the launch. As you can see, nice and simple. Again, this is another email where we're just letting the product do the talking. As you can see, we've got the product here. We've literally got 4 words in this hero section, just saying four days till launch. Another thing that I did as well that's worth mentioning is I added this banner here into their logo section, just making sure that people know that all of these emails are about this new launch. And then here, I just went ahead and added a short little piece about the product launch itself with some infographics going over the key sort of differences for this product with another button to prompt the waitlist. Email 3, this is actually an email that I received from the brand. So you may recognize this from their original launch. I don't have anything wrong with this email. There's nothing that I do too different, for example. But yeah, I just thought I'd include it in my launch too, save me having to redesign it basically, because I think it's a good email. We've got the timer in here, so this was actually set to a 12-hour timer. I would probably do the same, 12 hours, 8 hours, something like that. I'd probably have the timer slightly higher in the email, maybe work it into the hero image, but that's a bit nitpicky there. But yeah, this is a really good email to send sort of a day or less than a day before your launch email. As you can see, I'm not 100% sure if they did this, but if I was to send this email, it would be sent to that 90-day engaged segment and those recent buyers again. Email 4, this is their launch email. So again, this is their email from their launch. So I've just gone ahead and copy and pasted this over here. Again, pretty good email. I don't mind this. We've got our button at the very top here. This may be a bit confusing because it's above the text, so I would just swap those round. But other than that, it's good to have your button as high up as possible, I guess, right? So obviously we're moving down into the infographics as well with a nice product image there. And then finally just going down into some offers and stuff here. So really good launch email here. I'm sure this email did pretty well. So the emails themselves for this brand actually are really good. I noticed as well across their other emails and stuff that I've received over the last few months, their email campaigns are really good, but they just didn't have the fleshed out email strategy that I'm going over in this video. So in terms of design, their designs are really good, right? Here we have the text-based email that I spoke about. So this is obviously sort of the personal touch from the team. If you want to go ahead and take a read of this, you can. I've tried to sort of match the brand voice because they're a pretty funny brand. They don't take themselves too seriously. They like to have a joke with their sort of audience. So I've tried to recreate that tone here. But yeah, if you want to take a read of that, you can. And then we've got our 2 resends. So as you can see here, we've got our excluded segments, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, so I won't touch on that here. But basically, we're just resending these first 2 emails to make sure that everyone sees them. Email 6, this is sort of another reminder. So this launch is actually a limited launch for these guys. So I wanted to make that really obvious with this email. So obviously we've changing up the design slightly with these red banners and stuff. But basically we're just giving another reminder of the product. Going over a quick review here with these banners, and then finally I'm just giving another button at the bottom. As you can see with the segments as well, we're excluding people who have already purchased the product itself. So if someone's already bought this product either from ads or from Instagram or from one of these first emails, we don't want to send them more emails promoting it, right? Because that's just annoying. Finally, we've got the last email. Obviously we're going to resend it here, but this will be the last email. So this is actually offering a sale. So I'm not sure if this is the sale that they actually offered. I'm not sure if they even did offer a sale. So don't go trying to use this code because it's not real. But yeah, basically I just created a made up offer. So 15% off with this code. Added these same infographics again from earlier, and then also added in this story again that we used in the first email, because I think that's a really good little infographic sort of going over how the product's made, and also shows you sort of the scale of it, because this product is designed to be a much larger version of their normal products. So yeah, I thought this section will work really well, so I added it in from the first email too. But yeah, obviously we're just going to resend this email with a different subject line. But yeah, just to make sure that everyone's got their discount code, everyone who is eligible for it has actually received an email and they've opened it, right? So that goes over the full launch strategy, goes over all the emails. So now you can sort of understand my thought process and why I've decided to add the emails that I have. So now you've got all of your emails designed, you've got everything all set up. How do you actually schedule this and get it sent to the right people? So obviously you don't just want to blast this off to your full list. What you need to do is set up some segments to actually send these emails to. So a great place to start and a great base segment will be a 90-day engaged segment. You can go for 120 days if you want to send to a few more people, or if your deliverability is not great and you want to keep it a bit more exclusive, you can send it to your 60 or 30-day engaged subscribers as well. So basically, these people should be receiving all of these emails, and then we want to build on top of that by excluding certain people and adding in certain people to really customize that messaging. So everyone's strategy will look slightly different, obviously, like I said, but generally every email wants to go to your 90-day engaged segment and your people who have purchased within the last 120 days. For resends, we want to send to the above segments, so the ones I just mentioned, but exclude everyone who's opened the original. So I'll show you how to set that up. But like I said, if we're resending that launch email, we want to send it to everyone who was in the original segments that we sent to, but we were going to exclude the people that already opened it. So these resends do generally get pretty poor open rates. So you don't want to do this like for your regular campaigns. You don't want to do this very often. However, it's really good just to maximize the people who are seeing these emails, right? And then finally, all emails sent after the first launch email. So whenever that first launch goes live, whatever time, every email sent after that, we want to make sure that we're excluding people who have purchased the product itself. So I mentioned that a moment ago. I'm going to show you how to set that up as well. So as you can see here, we've got the segments that we're going to be sending our campaigns to. So starting off, like I mentioned, with our 90-day engaged segment, this is going to be where the bulk of our email subscribers actually are. This is where we're going to be adding on top of and removing certain people from. We've got our recent purchasers. So these are people that we're going to add into our 90-day engaged segment, just to get a gauge of people who have bought from us recently. So we're going for quite a long window here with 120 days. This is just to make sure that anyone who's purchased from us semi-recently, we can make sure that we're including them in this this product launch, because obviously they may be interested in another product if they've already purchased from us, right? And then we've got our 2 segments for our exclusion, so people that we're going to exclude, and then people who we're going to resend to. So for our ordered launch campaign segment, so we're going to want to exclude this, like I said, from all our emails after the first one. This is going to be people who have purchased the launch product, obviously. So we're going to exclude these people from every campaign after our first one. And then for our resends, we're going to create one of these for every single email we make that we're resending. And then we're going to send to these first 2 segments, but then exclude this segment here. So I'll show you what this looks like. So we've got our 90-day engaged segment here. So this is pretty basic. As you can see, we've just got anyone who's opened an email at least once in the last 90 days or clicked email in the last 90 days, just to make sure that we've got everyone. And then finally, obviously, and can receive email marketing. For our recent purchases, again, really straightforward. We've got placed order at least once in the last 120 days or fulfilled order in the last 120 days. This is just because these can attribute pretty differently. And then we've got our and can receive email marketing. And now for our other two segments, for our exclude segment, so this is for our purchased or launch product. So we're going to go, what someone has done, placed order over all time, and then we're going to add in a filter. So that'll be clicking this little button here, and then we can go where, and then we can select items, includes any of, and then here is just the field where you'll select the launch product itself. So this means anyone who's purchased this product is excluded. So you can only make this segment once your product is actually set up inside Shopify, obviously, because this is where the integration comes from. But once the product is inside Shopify, you can make this segment. And then we've got our opened campaign segment that we're going to use to resend our campaigns. So we've got opened, and then obviously you'll just have the name of the campaign email here. And then what we're doing here is we're going opened email at least once over all time. We're clicking that filter button again. We're going campaign equals, and then here is where you'll select the campaign that you're going to want to make sure people have opened. So what you're going to do is with this segment, you're going to we're going to exclude this from the campaigns that we're resending. So everyone who opened the first email will be excluded from the resend. So that covers everything you need to know about segmentation for this launch specifically. Obviously, you can be more complex with this. There is different routes you can go. However, just in terms of a simple, easy to execute launch that's going to do everything you need. These segments are all you need, and this should be perfect. Obviously, like I've already mentioned, if you want to make these attribution windows smaller or larger, you can do so depending on what you're trying to achieve with the product launch. But yeah, these are the general segments that I would use, and I'm going to go ahead and give one final recap of the launch. So just to recap what we've covered, obviously we've got our planner here. So this goes through all of our emails. So we've got email on the 25th, which will be our launch email. So this is our launch date. And as you can see, we're sending 3 teasers with a wait list. We're sending a text-based release email the day after the first email goes out. Then we're resending these 2 emails, these 2 launch emails, the next days. And then we're just going to go into some reminders and offer a sale if we want to do so. Obviously, as well with our promotions, we're just sending our normal campaigns there too. So in terms of the emails, as you can see, we've got our resends. But yeah, just to go over these again, we've got our segments and our subject lines and everything like that that you need, so you can see which emails are going to what segment basically. So that covers everything in terms of the product launch for this video. I do just want to go over sort of an advanced strategy that I picked up on just for those brands that are doing sort of 8-9 figures or just want to take it to a next level in terms of email. So as you can see, this is from a brand called Gains in Bulk. You may be familiar with them. So they're quite a large American supplement company, and I noticed that they had a product drop recently, and they did a few different things differently that I wanted to cover, and I'm going to go over their emails too. So as you can see, quite a few more emails that they've got scheduled, and I'm going to go over the key differences that sort of make their launch a bit more advanced compared to the one that we've just gone over. But I do want to say, don't worry if you do just want to go with that launch that I just covered. That will cover basically every basis that you need. This is sort of the extra 10-15% improvement that you get with this advanced strategy that the larger brands will really benefit from, because obviously 10% of 8 figures is a lot. However, when you're talking about those smaller, those mid-sized brands, that launch I just went over will be perfect because it hits on all the main points that we want to do. We're building our urgency, we're building our hype. We're launching the product multiple ways with multiple different emails to make sure everyone notices it, and then we're reminding it of it over time. So that touches all the bases. However, this is how an advanced brand does it. So the strategy above is simple, minimal, yet effective, which is why it's perfect for 90% of brands, like I said. Having said this, I want to go over a more complex, high-level strategy that I saw in my inbox from a large supplement brand. So they did take things to the next level. So the first key difference that this brand did over the strategy that I just went over is that they had a longer and more engaging teaser strategy. So if I go ahead and show you the emails I received from them, you can see that they had many emails before the launch email. So this email number 9 is the launch email. So obviously they sent 8 emails before that, all teasing the product. So you can see if I go over to the planner that I made. So obviously I made this retroactively. The product launched on the 15th and their first teaser was sent on the 6th. So you can see they're sending a teaser every single day until the product launch. So really aggressive with teasing the launch. Obviously I'm not 100% sure what segments these brands send these emails to. I'm not going to sit here and try to predict them. Obviously I would assume that they just went to their main 90-day engage segments and things like that because I received them, and I'm not a customer of this brand. I only just look at their emails in my inbox, so I would assume that these emails just go to their 90-day engage list or something similar to that. As you can see, with all their follow-up emails, they've just got teasers where they're showing the product. As you can see earlier, I mentioned how sort of teasing the product, what the product actually is. This is what this brand did here. They sort of blurred out the product there. This one, no pictures of the product, just further building some hype there. Here we've got a flavor launch email, sort of with a fun angle. As you can see, going over the product, still sort of blowing it out. The next one is sort of revealing what the actual product is. So we've got the flavor here, and here we've got some reviews like I mentioned earlier, some sort of flavor testing reviews. As you can see, verified flavor tester, just sort of building hype. And here they actually reveal the product. As you can see, they've got the red curtains as well to signify that, and then they've got some further product images just to try and let that product do the talking. And then as you can see at the bottom, they've also got the waitlist feature. And then this is where the strategy takes a bit more of an advanced turn. So over on their Instagram, they actually put together this 4-part launch series. So this is just a series of fun videos that the team put together to build hype for the product. As you can see, they've put an email every day for the 4 days leading up to the launch with timers in each. And in these emails, they're just showing the videos. So obviously these emails are designed to build hype over on Instagram and social media and TikTok and everything like that. However, they've gone ahead and repurposed it over for their email channel just by simply putting a screenshot of the thumbnail and giving a little bit of backstory on the videos, and yeah, just building hype, getting people brought in. This feature, or this strategy I should say, I really like. I think this will do really well for a lot of brands, just building that hype around the product launch. So yeah, like I said, this is a really good way to get people brought in to the brand and to the product launch itself. It's a really fun way to do it. It makes you stand out a lot as well, and it gives people something to sort of actually do every day while they're thinking about your launch. So this keeps the launch top of mind, obviously, because you're sending them an email every day, but it's not just a boring reminder email. You're actually giving people something to engage with and everything like that. And also, it's just a creative way to do it, right? And obviously with these timers as well, we're making sure people know that the launch is coming soon as well. And as you can see as well, something to mention is their subject lines are really straightforward, so people can just follow along. And yeah, when we get to the launch day, as you can see, really clear in the subject line, just saying it's here, the flavor has landed. And then as you can see, we're going over sort of a promotion of the flavor and then a promotion of the product. So something that I forgot to mention is that this launch is actually for a flavor of an existing product. So what they've done is here they're releasing the flavor, and then here they're actually selling on the product and why their creatine is better than everyone else's basically. And then yeah, as you can see, they're pushing on the limited stock element here too. And then as you can see for the rest of the email, sort of what we've discussed already, just going over some reviews, some reminders, everything like that. And then as you can see, switching up the messaging slightly here as they get closer to selling out. And yeah, just focusing on that urgency towards the end. But as you can see, something that's worth mentioning with their sale email towards the end. So this is sent well over a week after the product dropped, as you can see. All they're doing with this email is actually just repeating themselves. So look, they're not saying it's been out or did you see the product? They're just saying the new flavor just dropped. So this is basically tailored towards people who may not have seen these first emails. I would predict that this email may have been sent to people who didn't open the rest of the emails, like I said, because I actually went ahead and retroactively saw this drop in my inbox after the fact. So I never opened any of these emails while they were actually happening. So I would predict that this email probably got sent to non-openers of the original drop. As you can see, this is where they're also offering a sale too. So overall, that's the strategy. Obviously, the main thing is this teaser. They are a lot more bullish on the teaser strategy, and obviously this is going to be a cross-channel strategy too, because obviously these are Instagram posts and TikTok posts and things like that. So a few other things I just want to touch on is that they're mentioning the drop in other promotional emails. So like I mentioned earlier, all of their other campaigns in and around this time period are mentioning the drop, whether it's saying that it's upcoming or after it's dropped, promoting it in those emails too. They resent every email rather than just the key ones. So something to note is that obviously in my launch, I only said to resend the key emails, like the launch emails and stuff. However, I noticed in my inbox, like I said, I didn't open all of the emails and I received a few of them twice. So obviously they're resending most of the emails in this launch. The drop strategy was a month long, with the launch being in the middle. So as you can see here with this planner, the strategy literally went from the 6th over to the 30th. So basically a full month's worth of launch emails here. Multiple reminders after the initial launch for weeks. So again, just staying on that like longevity of the launch. As you can see, the drop was on the 15th and their last reminder went out on the 30th. So just making sure that they're reminding constantly of the launch. And then also finally, they had a sale slash limited offer on the new product, or new flavor I should say in this case. Obviously they were offering their sale towards the end of the launch. So that's something that not every brand will do. However, obviously if you do, it will help get a few more sales on your new launch product. So yeah, that's sort of what the more advanced strategies, do. Obviously, the main thing to note there is the teaser system and the way that they're making it cross-channel and really engaging for the audience. Really fun, interesting way to do it. So that's sort of the main thing. And then other than that, it's just more volume and more emails, basically. So yeah, that's sort of the advanced strategy. If you want to go ahead and copy this strategy, you can use all of my tips and tricks from my launch above and then just transfer this over to this strategy there. But that's everything for this video. Hopefully you learned something new about product launches. Hopefully you can use some of these ideas for your clients or for your brand yourself. And yeah, if you got some value from this, I'd appreciate if you dropped over a subscribe. Go ahead and watch my next video, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers.